what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show, Glass Seats, where two hockey aficionados discuss their perspectives on headlines surrounding the NHL, including recent stories, game highlights, league culture, and other topics trending amongst the fans. I'm Viddy.
And my name is Mrinal, and it's the best time of year, baby.
It's like Christmas all over.
Let's go. We are recording this. The last game of the regular season just finished.
A couple minutes ago, actually.
Yeah, we just watched the ending of Colorado-Nashville, where Colorado won to clinch first in the Central.
Nathan MacKinnon is a god.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Fourth hat trick of the year?
Fourth hat trick.
Wild.
Crazy. Unreal.
Next year's highest paid player in the NHL.
That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Take that, McDavid. He's got 100K more. He's paying for the bill now.
Oh, yeah. So, playoffs are starting here just after the weekend, starting on Monday, April 17th. So this episode, we're going to be going through playoff previews, giving our thoughts, giving our predictions, and yeah.
Let's
ready?
Get into it. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, dive right in here. We're going to start out east in the Atlantic. We're starting with the almighty Boston Bruins versus the Florida Panthers, who got in on the skin of their teeth. What are your thoughts here?
My thoughts are... Actually, you know what? You go first, because I feel like I know your answer.
Well, I'm a little salty that the Panthers knocked the Penguins out.
Why? Because you're wrong?
Yeah.
Ego's hurt?
Yeah. Couple podcasts ago, I was talking about how I wanted Crosby to go on one last run here. But looks like it's not going to happen. And as of this morning, the Penguins fired everybody.
Yep.
So I'm not feeling particularly grateful toward the Panthers right now.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
It happens.
Had to switch out the Pens jersey.
Right, of course, totally.
So, but I mean, just looking at the raw numbers in this series, this should be a stomp. The Bruins should have this. You know,
okay.
We've seen upsets before, but I mean, Linus Ullmark has a .938 save percentage. Mm-hmm. David Pastrnak 113 points. They did have a few injuries, but most of them say out until April 17th or day-to-day. Mm-hmm. And at this time of year, I don't believe anything that says day-to-day. Yeah. They're all going to play.
Yeah.
Particularly, it's Patrice Bergeron who's day-to-day, and we know he plays through anything.
Of course.
So I expect him to be at full strength come game one. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really looking at the injuries for the Bruins here. Panthers-wise, I mean, goaltending is no contest. Like, Bobrovsky's been fine. Mm-hmm. .901 save percentage. Mm-hmm. And they have a few injuries as well. Spencer Knight's out for the season. Mm-hmm. So is Patrick Hornquist. Mm-hmm. This should be a rout. I'm expecting the Bruins to stomp this one.
What's the game count?
For me, I'm saying Bruins in 4.
Bruins in 4.
I'm not giving Panthers anything here.
Gotcha.
What about you?
I'm going to go Panthers in 5. Panthers in 5.
Oh my God.
And, okay, so everyone remembers what happened in 2019, Tampa and Columbus, and there was that whole long description by the Tampa Bay PR team, and they had to do damage control. Everyone remembers that. I think that's going to happen this time around. And I threw away all the stats for this because it's the NHL playoffs, and throwing away the stats is the best thing you can do. And I do honestly think Florida will reign supreme because they had to scratch and claw for that last playoff spot. And Boston cruised. I'm pretty sure they set the record for points in games won this season for that President's Trophy. What adversity have they faced recently? They haven't.
No.
They haven't. No, just any sort of struggle Boston experiences this playoff series will feel so amplified, and because they've been so dominant for so long. Panthers in 5. I've got to upset on this one.
No, the Boston hasn't slowed down though. They kept going. They wanted the record. They got the 63 wins.
That's great. It's a
Costa
new season.
Getting 60 goals.
Cool, man. It's a new season.
No, they haven't slowed. No. Okay, the reason that the Lightning upset was so shocking was because it doesn't happen that often,
and it's gonna happen again.
Oh no!
You know who was in net for Columbus when that happened? Sergei Bobrovsky. Not saying he's gonna turn into a god again.
Wait, but was he not in Florida by then?
No.
Oh
no, I'm pretty sure he signed with Florida that offseason.
Okay.
And then he was partying it up with Panarin on a boat somewhere. We all saw the video. Yeah, we all saw that video. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Panthers in 5. That's my.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to start off, so
that's why I wanted you. Yeah, that's why I wanted you to go first, because you had all these stats lined up. I was like, no, screw the stats.
You can see the difference in philosophy right here.
There you go. It's all good. It's all good.
All right.
We got Toronto and
next series here.
Yeah, Toronto and Tampa Bay. What do you got?
I think this one's going to be tight.
Yes.
These teams look pretty evenly matched. Vasilevsky and Samsonov have a similar same save percentage, shockingly. Samsonov has been a bit of a surprise in Toronto. Mitch Marner's had a great season. No 100-point scorers on the Leafs. Tampa has Kucherov over the 100-point mark. But, we all know the Leafs story of the past, 7 years now?
Yeah, I actually looked this up because I was curious just to see what their playoff record was. I believe they made the wild card with Matthews in the first year.
Yes, yeah.
And they lost to the Capitals in 6 or something like that.
Yeah, and that wasn't that shocking.
Yeah, nobody expected them to even make the playoffs. And so, besides that, they lost in Game 7 every single year after that.
Yeah,
and
since Matthews has joined the team.
Yeah, excluding that one year where they lost to Washington in 6, but every single year. So it's Game 7's a tough one for them.
Yeah, and honestly, I am at the point with Toronto that I'll believe it when I see it.
Got it.
And
that's fair.
Honestly, watching Tampa the past 3 years, ever since they were ultimately dominant in that regular season that you just mentioned, where they ended up losing, but they have this other gear that they find in the playoffs. And you cannot discount, I think experience matters a lot in the playoffs. And Tampa's got it. 3 straight cup finals, 2 of them they won.
Yeah.
I think it'll be close, but I'm not ready to give it to Toronto until I see it. So I am saying Lightning in 7.
I'm going to have to kind of say the same way. Either way, it's going to 7. That's pretty much the only part I'm sure of. It's going to go to 7. Just purely based off playoff experience and really just finding that will to push it and really just dig deep and grab that win, even if it's not a pretty win. Tampa Bay's got that. So I'm going to say Tampa Bay in 7 on that one.
Yeah. Plus, the Leafs have put up a bunch of injuries. So a lot of them out until April 17th, which means they'll be back for the playoffs. But they might have nagging things. The only injury that Tampa listed was Tanner Jeannot. Right. So they're pretty much healthy.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be Tampa ultimately.
Yeah,
but I'm expecting a good fight.
Yeah, granted, day-to-day doesn't mean too much, as you said. They will be back for the playoffs, but, having one listed injury is it's not even a superstar player for the Lightning, Yeah. It's a depth player at the end of the day, so I don't know. Tampa's looking scary. Sure, they weren't as dominant this year, but they have the playoff experience, and that's all that matters.
Can I ask you a quick side tangent here?
Sure.
So the reason the Leafs losses have been so shocking in those years are also because they choked. They were up in the series 3-1, I think, twice.
Were they? I remember Montreal won, yeah. Yeah,
they were up in the Boston one too, I think.
Oh, shoot, I don't remember that one.
Yeah. Or they were up in Game 7, something like that.
Got it.
But basically, they've lost, not just have they lost, they've lost in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, it's almost entertaining at this point. Yeah. Unless you're a Leafs fan, then you want to cry.
If they go into this series and they still lose, but they lose in a hard-fought battle, is it still curtains in Toronto?
Isn't that exactly what happened last year? Where they could have closed it out in Game 6 against Tampa, and they didn't. Yeah. And then Tampa won in Game 7. I feel like this history is going to repeat itself. I think it's going to happen again, unfortunately. Yeah, it's going to be a hard-fought battle. I don't see a choke happening this time around, honestly.
But do you still think it'll be, this is Kyle Dubas's last year, and a lot has been said on him winning. Matthews is up end of next year. Do you think even if they lose in a good series, it's still going to have ripple effects through their team?
I think they have to. I think they have to. At this point, they have to make a change if they lose because clearly the system, as spectacular as it is in the regular season, it's not working in the playoffs, and that's totally fine. There's definitely teams that have been amazing in the regular season and fallen apart in the playoffs. It just doesn't work in the playoffs. You need to find what works in the playoffs, and clearly this past couple of years, this core of 4, I guess Nylander, Marner, Tavares, and Matthews, it's not really working, right? So
I guess, yeah.
So unless they prove us wrong this year, all the luck to the Toronto fans and to the city of Toronto, but unless they prove us wrong, I don't see that core staying together forever. At least not in the next 2 to 3 years, whatever.
Good thoughts. Thoughts. All right, let's move on here to the Metro.
Sure.
We got in the first series Carolina Hurricanes, who won the Metro, taking on the New York Islanders. Carolina was in the Metro battle, but they led the Metro a lot of this year. New York coming in right at clutch, taking in the wild card spot. They were in that fight with the Penguins.
Right.
Yeah. What are you thinking here?
Carolina versus New York. I'm gonna say Carolina in 6. And I know previously, right, starting off this podcast, I said the stats don't matter, but I'm a hypocrite. I'm bringing the stats back. Carolina's top scorer has 71 points. And we all know that the team was very successful in terms of standings in the regular season. Mm-hmm. So I believe, what was it? The Islanders' top scorer was, how many points was it?
75.
75. Right. So 70. Right. And they scored 93 points in the standings. Mm-hmm. And the Hurricanes had 20 points more. Basically, what the point I'm trying to make is Carolina seems to have more depth overall. Mm-hmm. They don't have anyone even remotely close to a 100-point score or whatever. There's no McDavid or whatever on the team. Yeah. Kind of just carrying the point total. I think they have more depth, and I think that's the reason they're going to beat the Islanders.
Yeah. I think Islanders aren't really known for scoring, right? They're known for goaltending. Ilya Sorokin's had a great year, .924 save percentage, 2.34 goals against average. That's pretty good.
Right.
They do have Barzal coming back from injury, but he should be playing. Carolina does have Andrei Svechnikov out. So I think all of those things are going to make this series a little bit closer than I would have expected. Mm-hmm. But I do still think Carolina comes out on top, and I'm going to agree with you, Hurricanes in 6.
Yeah, I don't see it any other way. I do think you got to give the Islanders props. They fought hard to get that playoff spot, but Carolina just looks too good this year.
Yeah, and I think the way the Islanders play doesn't always translate well to playoffs. Mm-hmm. Like, they rely a lot on their defense, on their goaltending, and in the playoffs, things happen hard and fast. You got to be able to score and defend. Yeah. The teams that win can do both. Yeah. And having your game be kind of one-dimensional is detrimental. Yeah. I know they added in Bo Horvat, but then they lost Matt Barzal at the same time, which was just kind of unfortunate. Yeah. So even though Barzal is coming back, I still think this is Carolina's series to take.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the my favorite series of the first round series, New Jersey Devils and New York Rangers. What do you got for this? Because these two teams, if you don't know, they hate each other, and they're very close. Right, they're part of the tri-state battle. Mm-hmm. They hate each other, so it's gonna be a great series. What are you thinking?
This is gonna be so much fun to watch.
Oh, so much.
Watching these teams play, like the Devils play fast. New York Rangers are no slouch. New York has a lot of star power. They got Patrick Kane and Tarasenko at the trade deadline, Artemi Panarin and Igor Shesterkin. A lot of star power. Devils have a lot of, I want to call it future star power. Players who are going to be really, really good, maybe aren't there yet. Like Jack Hughes. I say Jack Hughes, he had 99 points this year. Right. But I still think he hasn't even close to what he can actually do. Mm-hmm. They got Timo Meier, who's been hot and cold for the Devils. Nico Hischier, which I gave props to last episode, has been really good. Mm-hmm. I think this is just going to be a bloodbath of a series. But when in doubt, you have to give it to the people who have experience. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Rangers have. They made a deep run last year. They added Patty Kane, 3-time Cup champion. I think experience edges them out over the Devils in this series. And I'm going to say Rangers in 7.
Gotcha. Okay. It's funny that you use the word bloodbath. I use literally the same exact word, and in my notes I'm looking at, I said New Jersey Devils in 7, but literally in my notes right next to it I said it could be Rangers in 7. Whichever team is the grittier of the two is going to come out on top. I don't think the stats matter. Sure, you got Patty Kane, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Tarasenko. Doesn't matter. I think the team that wants it more is going to come out on top, but I do think the series is going to 7 no matter what.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight. I don't know what more to say. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be fun. This is one I want to watch. I want to watch every moment of the series.
Absolutely, yeah. It's gonna be a good series. It's unfortunate that we're on the West Coast because they start at 4:30, 4:30 these games, but. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay. We work from home, right?
Yeah, we might have to move some schedules around a little bit.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, my doctor's appointment. Yeah, for sure, man. Oh, man.
So that's kind of it for the East here. We're going to get into like overall predictions a little bit later, but I want to take a second here to say, who do you think is going to come out of the East?
Out of the first round or? Or just like who
Who
wins
do
the
you think is
East?
going to win the East? Because we'll get to Cup prediction later, but I want
Got
to know
it.
who you think is going to win the East.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm gonna have to go with Carolina. I think the Hurricanes. Yeah, I think the Hurricanes got this. They've come close, especially in the past couple of years. They've been good, but they just haven't had it. I think this is the year where fortune lies in their favor. I think Carolina's coming out on top.
All right.
What about you?
Well, you just crapped all over my Bruins take, but I'm doubling down.
You
I'm saying Bruins are going to win the East.
Okay, I don't. Even if they win the first round, I don't think they're making it past second. Honestly.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
President's Trophy curse. They're not. I don't think they're making it past first round. I don't think they're making it. They're definitely not making it past the second round.
The curse just says you can't win the Cup. Little teaser for later.
Yeah.
Curse just says you can't win the Cup.
Yeah, but how many teams have? I can't remember the last time a President's Trophy winner has made it past the second round. Honestly, I can't remember.
Was it the Blackhawks?
It might have been the Blackhawks in 2013 lockout year.
They won the Cup that year, right?
Yeah, that doesn't count. It was half a season.
Who won the Presidents last year?
Wasn't it Florida? I'm pretty sure it was Florida.
Oh yeah, and then crapped the bed in the playoffs.
Well,
yeah.
Tampa ran through them basically. But I think it was Florida. Let me double check. Yep, Florida.
Oh.
Florida and then Colorado right behind them.
Well, you're making me second guess myself.
I'm telling you,
I'm
man.
sticking to it.
I'm telling you,
I'm sticking to it.
The President's Trophy curse is a real thing. I'm telling you.
I'm sticking to it.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's see.
Fair enough.
All right. Moving on to the Western Conference here. Central Division. Dallas Stars versus Minnesota Wild. This is the Central 2 versus Central 3 matchup. This should be good.
I think so. Yeah. For this one, I think it's going to be a close one. It's two really good teams going at it. But I do think it's going to be Dallas in 7. Experience obviously plays a big part in this, but another big explanation for it is just, Jason Robertson. That's all. I don't know.
He's so good.
I don't think that needs an explanation. Just the kid is insane, and even in previous years, he's showed up in the playoffs. I don't think he's going to be a disappearing act this year. I think he's going to be an even bigger splash this year. I honestly see Dallas making a big run this year. Maybe game 6 or 7 of the West Finals. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, there's this weird Peter DeBoer effect. Every time Peter DeBoer goes to a new team, he somehow does really well.
Yeah.
For one season.
Yeah.
And then he's average.
Yeah.
So they do got Peter DeBoer.
Yeah.
And, you're saying Jason Robertson, but they're adding him to a set of playoff performers.
Yeah.
Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Joe Pavelski, were all really good in the playoffs. And we haven't even mentioned Miro Heiskanen on this podcast yet. Jake Ottinger's been really good. But, on the flip side, you got star power in Minnesota. You got Marc-Andre Fleury having a great year. Kirill Kaprizov scored 75 points this year. I think also injuries-wise, Dallas has no injuries right now, at least listed. Minnesota has a few, but I'm expecting most of them back for the game 1. But I think you're right. We've seen Dallas do this again and again, get deep runs. They know how to play in the playoffs. I'm going to agree with you. Dallas in 7.
Yep. The experience and just being healthy, I don't know how you can really argue it. It's got to go to Dallas. If Minnesota pulls this off, I'd be genuinely impressed by this. So we'll see.
No.
Going off to the next series, we got Colorado and Seattle. This was decided, again, before we started this podcast. It decided minutes ago. I think we both know the answer to this, but you go first.
Kraken, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun, guys.
Yeah.
I loved watching your games.
Yeah, you guys are a fun fan base for sure.
It made me feel good about Martin Jones again. Until you look at the numbers, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's been fun to watch you guys play as a team. But it's time to go home. Kraken, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
I had Avalanche in 5. I did give the Kraken 1 game. I think, they can surprise you with how fast they play, how quick they play.
Yeah.
And we've seen Martin Jones pull a game out of his ass sometimes.
Yeah.
So I gave them 1 game, but this is the Avalanche series.
Yeah, I didn't even give him 1. I said Colorado in 4. I was going to say 1 originally, but I was like, look at what Colorado went 16-4 last year.
Yeah.
In the playoff. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's Colorado in 4. And honestly, I think, just being completely honest, playoff experience is the X factor here. Colorado just came off a cup win. Seattle has never even played in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately going to be a curb stop.
We got to remember that this is not the same Colorado team as last year.
Sure.
No Cale Makar, no Gabriel Landeskog.
Sure.
So, this series, sure. But I hold the horses on the going for the cup and deep run again.
Sure.
You know, there's some killers in the Western Conference.
Of course.
We haven't even gotten to McDavid out in the Pacific yet. But I don't think the Kraken are they going to be the stopping point here.
No, unfortunately, the Kraken are. I think it's going to be one of those, we're happy to be here type of situations, and we'll learn from it for next year. Unless they completely make us both eat our words and they somehow go to the finals.
No, I mean, their top scorers are all rookies or sophomores too.
Yeah.
This is the Avalanche.
Yeah, even getting 2 games would be very impressive against this team.
I'd be impressed.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been great, Seattle, but I don't think this is your year, unfortunately.
Yeah. Moving on. We're heading out to the Pacific. We got Vegas Golden Knights versus Winnipeg Jets. Vegas just will not go away, will they?
No. Even when you think, they're down and out, and they're like, nope, we're going to take this division. Oilers on a, 9-game win streak to end the season?
Yeah.
Still their division. Mm-hmm. That's Vegas for you. I got, I'm going to have to go Vegas in 5. Jets barely made it in, and Vegas has always proven to be strong in the first round. Sure, they lost to the Sharks that one year, but, that's because the Sharks, came back from 3-1 and, really stuck it to them. They were a win away, right, from clinching. They were an overtime goal away from clinching the first round. Vegas is strong in the first round. Yeah. Vegas in 5.
They were a not taking a major penalty away from winning.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah. That's another point I'm trying to make. Yeah, Vegas in 5 for sure.
Yeah, same. I agree. I have Knights in 5 on this one. I think the one win Connor Hellebuyck can get you. But Vegas is looking really good. They had major injuries and they fought through those. Logan Thompson's supposed to be back for the playoffs. I don't think there's much to say here. Vegas has proven from their existence that they can make a deep run. I don't expect this year to be any different.
Yep.
So I'm going to say, Vegas in 5.
Yeah. And I believe this is the last playoff series for the first round. Edmonton versus the Kings, LA Kings. Well, first of all, what do you think? I mean, there's a lot of stats to unwrap here. What are you thinking in terms of from a statistical perspective?
If you're looking at the stats, I mean, how could you argue against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl?
Right.
153 and then 120 for McDavid and 120 something for Leon Draisaitl. Just absolutely insane. They've got the depth this year that's been lacking other years. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins also had a 100-point-plus season. They got Evander Kane. They got Zach Hyman. Forward depths look really good. And then at the trade deadline, they added Matthias Ekholm to shore up their D-line, which already had Darnell Nurse on it. I think I have Edmonton in 6 in this one, but I do think this is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
So if you watch these teams play in the regular season, they're both fast.
Yes.
And they like to score off the rush. This is not the same Kings team of the 2010s. They are not that big hitting team anymore. They are fast. They got kids out there flying. The one question mark I think for the Kings is in net because they got Jonas Korpisalo, but he's had a .921 save percentage, which is really good. Phoenix Copley is at a .903. Phoenix Copley played most of the year, so I think he gets the start. But they could go with Korpisalo. So there's a bit of question mark there on who gets that net.
Yeah.
For the Oilers, Stuart Skinner, .914 save percentage. Their backup, Jack Campbell, who they hoped had been a starter at one point, has not had a good year at all. So it is Stuart Skinner, and he is a rookie. So I think with the goalie situation here, this is going to be a fast, high-scoring series. Yeah. And I got to, in that kind of gameplay, I got to give it to McDavid and Draisaitl. So Oilers in 6.
I couldn't have said it better. You pretty much took the words out of my mouth. That's exact explanation. The only thing I have to add to that is, I do think it's going to be Edmonton in 6, but I think these games are going to be a lot closer than we think. I honestly see these games being a 1-goal differential pretty much every single game. Maybe 2 if there's an off night or whatever. But I think most of these games will either go to overtime or it'll be a 1-goal differential right down to the wire. I think this is going to be a real exciting series to watch too.
Yeah, and someone who's flown under the radar this year is Anze Kopitar, captain for the Kings. 74 points this season, and I have not heard a lot about him.
Yeah,
so
surprising. He's
leading those kids out there, and it should be fun. I think the Kings do have the experience advantage. They got Kopitar, they got Doughty, who were there for those cups. Do they have other players too? I'm forgetting the roster now. Maybe a few others as well. But, I think the way this series is matched up, it's 2 teams that play similarly. that really want to win, and it should be a battle.
Yep.
So this one is the equivalent, I think, to the Rangers Devils in the East.
Yeah. I was literally going to ask what's your favorite or your most anticipated playoff series in the East and West, but yeah, I think we both agree on this. Devils and Rangers, and Oilers and Kings. Both of those are going to be insane. I mean, I'll watch Colorado, Seattle too. Just I want to see. Maybe there's a Cinderella story. Maybe there's a Cinderella story waiting to happen. Who knows? Yeah. But I think those are going to be some exciting series. Who do you got coming out of the West?
I'm going to give it to Connor McDavid and the Oilers.
Wow. Okay. Finals appearance.
Yeah, I think Vegas is going to be a tough battle for them. Whoever comes out of the Central is going to be really tough too. Whether it's Dallas, Minnesota, Colorado, any one of those teams is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I look at the Edmonton roster and I just feel it this year. I think McDavid is desperate. I shouldn't say desperate. McDavid is very highly motivated.
Yeah, he's hungry.
That's a good word. He's hungry.
Yeah.
He wants that win, and you can see it.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, the depth they haven't had before, they have it this year.
Yeah.
I feel it, that this is Edmonton's year.
I totally agree with you on McDavid wanting it. I mean, we were just before this podcast started, we were talking about players that goalies would see coming down towards them on a breakaway and they would basically shit themselves. McDavid, and especially this year, oh my God, like that's a scary sight for whichever goalie in this playoffs is going to encounter that. And with Draisaitl next to him, yeah, it's going to be scary. But that being said, I do think somehow Dallas is going to pull this off.
Ooh.
I do think Dallas, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be tough. They're going to really have to get this, but I do think Dallas will come out in the West. And so I think we got, in my prediction, a Dallas and Carolina Stanley Cup Finals.
Dallas, Carolina, that'll be a good Cup final.
Yeah, great for the South.
Great for the South. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I see you're believing in the trademark Pete DeBoer effect.
Yeah,
right
I've learned not to bet against it at this point. It happened with Vegas too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So
every time he goes to a team that they do really well for the 1 year.
Yeah. And then that's all she wrote, folks.
So then you in your Cup final, you got Dallas, Carolina. Who's winning the Cup for you?
In certain amount of games too? You want the game number?
No. Let's just say who wins.
Carolina. I think I'm gonna go Carolina. Just the depth on that team is just unreal. Mm-hmm. It's just unreal. And again, the Peter DeBoer, of course, he'll get you far, but he won't get you all the way. So Carolina. I'm gonna have to go Carolina. In how many games, I really don't know. I genuinely do not know. But I'm gonna have to say Carolina.
All right. Well,
how about you?
For me, I had Oilers and Bruins in the final. Is what I said.
That would be such a good finals, though.
That's gonna be so much fun to watch. Yeah. Oilers and Bruins, if that happens. But what I think is as much of a battle as I just said the Oilers are going to go through, I think the East is worse. There's a lot better teams in the East, and I think whoever comes out of it, and I'm predicting Bruins, is going to be tired by the time you get to the finals.
Yeah.
And we know that winning the Stanley Cup is as much about endurance as it is about skill. So I think no matter who comes out, I think the Stanley Cup winner is coming from the West. And in my prediction, I'm saying it is Edmonton.
Oh, wow.
I am predicting the Oilers for the Cup, bringing the Cup back to Canada.
Wow.
Connor McDavid winning his first Stanley Cup in 2023. That is what I'm rooting for.
Wow. Okay, I do not agree at all, but that's totally fine. I do think Edmonton's going to get close. I just don't see it happening going all the way. And I also, for those who agree or don't agree at all, I have a theory that any team that has a player on their roster making 10 mil or over, is just eating up too much of the cap. Mm-hmm. Whether they deserve it or not is completely irrelevant. Obviously, McDavid, you can give him a blank checkbook and he deserves it. Yeah. You can pay him 26 mil a year and he probably deserves it. But you don't win a Stanley Cup with that kind of organization on the cap, and you can't provide enough depth. And as we've seen in previous years, when your fourth line guys are scoring and defending and hitting, that's a cup winning team. And I just can't really give it to Edmonton given how much that Leon and McDavid are making. So yeah.
You say that, but I think
I would love to be proven wrong because then it would give me hope for
Yeah.
the Erik Karlsson contract. But that's a separate thing. That's a separate deal. So,
I think the exception, if there's going to be an exception to your rule, it's going to be Connor McDavid, right?
of course, it has to be. It has to be. It's either him or McKinnon next year or whenever his contract expires.
Yeah.
It's got to be. We have one more stat, and that's the Cinderella Cup winner. Basically, in a Hollywood movie, this team just somehow magically wins a cup. Who do you have?
I kind of crapped on them earlier, but I would love to see the Kraken win a cup.
Yeah, just come out of nowhere. Yeah.
It would be so much fun.
Yeah,
and I know Vegas almost did it in 2018, but they went through the San Jose Sharks and that broke my heart. So
yeah,
I couldn't cheer for them, but I know a lot of people did. But this time, I don't care. I got no dog in this fight. I want to see the Kraken do it.
Yeah.
So that would be so much fun to see. So if there's going to be a Cinderella story, I want it to be Seattle.
Honestly, for me, Cinderella story is going to be Minnesota Wild for two reasons.
Whoa, hold up. You're calling the Minnesota Wild a Cinderella story?
Yeah, because they're not making it past the first round.
Okay. All right.
Honestly.
All right. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
And the reason, I mean, if we're going to go based on who's going to get dominated in the first round, then we're basically talking Seattle or Florida. Pick one.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I'd say the Islanders too.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they could. I could see them pulling off an upset.
I would say one of the 4 wildcard teams. Minnesota's in a division spot,
Okay.
led the Central for most of the year.
Okay.
But anyway, go on.
No, I'm going to say Minnesota because everyone loves Fleury. Everyone wants to see him win again. And maybe the state of hockey title would actually be a little bit more meaningful. It's crazy how good teams are in Minnesota outside of the NHL, like the college teams. And then you get to the Wild. And as long as I've been watching, I think this is the best I've ever seen them. Honestly, I don't think I've seen them ever be legitimately a threat for the cup. So to see them go all the way this year, that would be definitely something really exciting to watch. And Fleury winning is always a good time. So
yeah, cup number 4 for Marc-Andre Fleury if he does it.
Yeah, we also, this is completely irrelevant, but we were thinking maybe we'll just throw it in at the end. What do you got for the Bedard race on the complete opposite end of the spectrum? It's basically,
What are the odds right now? The standings?
So right now, Anaheim is clinched, clinched last, technically. Columbus above them, Chicago above them, San Jose above them, and then Montreal at 68. I guess you could maybe consider Arizona at 70, and then Philadelphia is 75 and up. So it's basically, to give you the order downwards, it's Arizona, Montreal, San Jose, Chicago, Columbus, Anaheim.
Okay. And I'm picking who I think is going to get Bedard?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Anaheim has the best odds.
Yes.
But somehow the best odds never gets the first overall pick. So
didn't they lose out on Crosby that one year when he was drafted? Weren't they pretty close to, or am I thinking of a different year? I don't know. It could be totally wrong. Yeah.
Whoever's in the last spot somehow never gets the first overall pick. So I'm going to say it's not Anaheim.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So then that is Columbus. And then who's third from bottom? Was it Arizona?
Third from bottom is closest to the bottom?
Yeah.
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. I think it's gonna be one of Chicago or Columbus. I'm gonna say Columbus because I think that wraps up their rebuild.
I was gonna say exactly that. That's their rebuild's done.
You drop Bedard in between Gaudreau and Line A.
Yeah.
You got a top line.
Yeah.
And then you're good to go. You're a wild card team if you got a top line.
Yeah.
Right? That'd be a lot of fun. So I'm gonna go with Columbus.
I want to agree with you, but I think it's gonna go to Chicago. Just somehow they always manage to have a stroke of luck in the last minute. And for those who don't know, Jonathan Toews was announced that he will not be resigning with the Blackhawks, or I guess the organization said we won't be resigning you.
Yeah, so he himself has not decided if he's going to play next year, but he will not be playing in Chicago.
Right, yeah. And so that means it is officially the end of an era. I believe he was the last cup-winning Blackhawk on the team. Mm-hmm. Patrick Kane's gone. Jonathan Toews is gone. The glory days, quote-unquote, are done. And, as we said a couple podcasts ago, the Blackhawks could definitely use a PR win at some point.
Yeah.
I think Bedard is somehow going to go to them. Obviously, I'm not saying it's rigged, but somehow the hockey gods or Gary Bettman's clones or whatever are just somehow going to make this happen for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I get Chicago winning that, and the entire city going crazy and the rest of the NHL hating him for it. But we will see. Again, this is all theoretical. There's no way to actually determine this other than ping pong balls and air.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Does it say something about how cynical Sharks fans are that neither of us picked the Sharks?
Yeah, I've learned to lower my standards so I don't get hurt as much. So, if you're always a pessimist, are you ever really hurt by the reality?
Yeah. So it's a coping mechanism.
That's it's a 100% a coping mechanism. But I've been heartbroken far too many times by this team. So I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut on this one.
All right. We're running up on time here, so I think we should sign out. This is our playoff previews. Next week we'll talk about some games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Best time of the year again,
Let's
baby.
go.
This has been Glass Seats. We'll see you next Saturday.
All right. Peace.